Hey everyone, I'm Max with FW Motors. Today we have a very nice 2000 Subaru Outback in for a pre-purchase inspection. This one is equipped with a 6-cylinder and an automatic transmission. So from the beginning what we're going to do is start with everything under the hood. We've got a light set up here, and I like to start on the passenger side of the vehicle. Over here we have the air filter. So very first thing I do, that gives us pretty much a good idea of how well this vehicle's been maintained in its life. Take the air filter out. Pretty good condition, no debris, a little bit of dust, but nothing crazy at all. I consider this a well-maintained car so far. Put that all back in. All these clips back in, call it good. Next I like to do, come over to the front. I've already removed these bolts, so we're not wasting a lot of time pulling this off. This is the front or top engine cover. Take this off, put it somewhere safe, as it's plastic and very fragile. As we look over the top of the engine, we're just doing a general look, seeing if we have any fluid leaks, such as engine oil or coolant, checking the condition of the belt. This one looks like it's been pretty good shape. You see the power steering pump has been replaced in the past. We'll have to fire the car up and listen to the condition of that. Come over here, I check the coolant level. On the overflow bottle, it's this plastic one here on the side. We have a full and a low mark that's kind of tough to see. So I usually like to stick a flashlight in here and it'll kind of illuminate the coolant. I don't know how well you can see it, but it looks like we're right in between the low and full mark. And I also like to make sure that the radiator cap works by making sure the radiator is full. So only when the engine's cold, I'll take the cap off. Might get a little bit of leakage either way. These caps are also prone to break on the top here, and then that can get sucked into the cooling system. This one is not broken. It's a little old, a little bit of corrosion on it, but not broken. Check the top, make sure we have completely full of coolant. There we go, looks good to me. Next, I like to check the engine oil level. So I know this car's been sitting overnight, so we should be able to get a very accurate oil level reading. Pull the dipstick out, wipe it, put it back in, check our level. We are just slightly overfilled, which on these engines is usually not an issue, nothing to be alarmed about. If it's underfilled, is generally when we have problems. Now, for the rest of the fluids, we just have a windshield washer reservoir up here. Nothing too serious, but we do like to make sure it's not leaking. Got a little bit up here that's generally just from someone overflowing or spilling. And then over here we have brake fluid reservoir. From the outside it looks dark, which could be concerning, but a lot of the times these reservoirs are just stained. So we take the cap off, look inside, looks very clear, very new to me. Right here we have the fuel filter. That looks pretty new to me. You can't really tell just by the condition of it, by looking at it, so generally it helps if they have service records of something like that. We also check all the fuel lines. On a vehicle of this age, they are prone to get brittle and they can crack, but a lot of the times you'll have a complaint of a fuel smell. But looking at these, they look good to me. In a little bit, we'll fire the vehicle up, and that's when we can test the automatic transmission fluid. We'll also test the alternator, and we will test the life of the battery. So I'm going to test the battery, see how much life it has. I'm looking for a date sticker or anything like that on there. I don't see anything. Oh, I've got one right here. 6 of 23, so this battery is from June of 2023. So we're almost 2 years old now at this point. We have a battery tester here. This will tell us the amperage of the battery. Connect it there. The battery should give us what it should have as an amperage rating, so 640 on my tester. Put it up to 640, press test. There we go. This battery is reading 290, which is low. I would recommend this battery be replaced as long as the alternator is at the proper voltage. That being said, we're now going to go start the vehicle, and we'll be able to test the alternator and then check the transmission fluid when it warms up. So on the same tester, I can press this voltage button. It'll tell me 14.3 volts. I'm going to monitor this and make sure we don't have any high spots or low spots, and this reads fairly accurately this whole time. Right off the bat, you can hear a squeak coming from the front. That could be either the belt is actually old or one of these pulleys is going bad. I'll stick a stethoscope on all the pulleys going around, and that'll tell us pretty much what's going on. The vehicle's gonna warm up now, and then I'll be able to check the transmission fluid. On Subaru specifically, and a lot of other vehicles, you always check the transmission fluid with the engine running. On these vehicles, the transmission dipstick is located at the back of the engine, which is pretty tough to get to, so bear with me. Same thing as with engine oil. Wipe the dipstick, we're gonna put it back in. Move it, and now look at the level. We have two marks on here. We have low marks, so that's, sorry, we have cold marks and hot marks. Cold low, cold hot, hot low, and hot full. So, as we saw, it was a little in between the two, so when the vehicle warms up more, we will double check again and see if we get an accurate level. We were also checking for the color, which can give us a good indication of how old the fluid is. That was cherry red to me. It looks like it was recently replaced. This whole time we've been monitoring our battery tester, and not once has this changed from 14.4, which is really good. This alternator is in really good shape. I'm going to shut the vehicle off now and continue with the inspection. The last thing I check for under the hood is the front differential fluid. On Subarus, the front differential is part of the transmission, but it uses a different fluid. That's located on the opposite side. It's a smaller dipstick just like this. Same thing as we always do. Wipe it. Reinsert down here. And check our level. We are right at the full mark, and it's in really good condition. It's not black, it's nice yellow gear oil color. Now we're going to raise the vehicle up and look over everything from underneath. So now we have the car up in the air, and we're going to continue on with our inspection. I like to start from the rear of the car, especially on this generation Legacy and Outback, because I know they tend to have issues with the bushings in the rear of the vehicle. But starting from the rear, just check out the muffler, make sure nothing's been rusted through. We're also checking for any significant or even minor rust on the rest of the vehicle. Looking underneath so far, I'm seeing none of that. Exhaust looks to be in good shape. I've got a gauge that'll tell me the depth of the tread on these tires. I check all four. It's very important on a Subaru that they all have the exact same tread. Checking this, and we're reading right at 9/30 seconds. So I'm going to do that to all four tires and make sure they're the same. Back here, we're going to look at the date code on this tire. This one is from the 24th week of 2021. So these tires are about 4 years old, but they have plenty of tread. I don't see why these tires couldn't go a couple more years. Moving on to the rest of the rear end, I check out all the suspension components. Like I previously mentioned, this generation Legacy and Outback tend to have bushing problems, specifically on this upper control arm up here, / lateral link. But looking at these, they look like they've been recently replaced and are in really good shape. Check this lateral link, that's good. Both sides of their bushings are fine. This last one is also good. I confirm on the other side, and same thing. Everything looks like it's been recently replaced or is in really good shape. I check the brake caliper. I make sure the hoses aren't leaking any brake fluid, as that can be a serious safety concern. I make sure the metal pipes don't have any rust holes or are leaking. I'm checking all that out underneath here. I see no issues with that. I check the front bushing of this control arm, which is also a known issue on these, of this trailing arm, and looks to be in really good shape. Nothing serious, nothing to be worried about. Coming back to the brakes, I do a general inspection from the outside of the pad. If I notice it needs any more attention, I'll pull the wheel off, I'll measure the pads, and then give an assessment from there. But just looking at it, Everything looks good to me. Now I move on to the differential. These Subarus have a rear differential. They can leak, and usually how that happens, I can tell it is, I see a little bit of gear oil fuzz all down the side. Generally what causes that is there's a breather on top of the differential, and they can just get clogged up and start forcing fluid out. It's very minor. If the customer would like that to be a concern, we'll focus on that, but we'll move on from there. This one has a cover on the rear of or on the differential. There's some bushings up here that I can't see, so I'll either have to pull this cover off, or I can sort of look at it from the front, and just basing off this one I can see, looks good to me. I'll probably still pull this cover off to confirm, but to me it looks fine. I'm looking at the boots on these axles. They're old, but they're not cracked. They're not putting any grease out. On this side, looks like there's a little bit of grease coming out, so that boot may need to be replaced, but it's not throwing anything out, so not too serious yet. Same thing, I check on this other side. Both boots look totally fine to me up here. So I'm also now looking at the shock absorbers. This looks brand new, and then same with the other one. I'm gonna slowly work my way forward. We find our fuel tank. I'm gonna make sure we don't have any obvious fuel leaks coming out. They don't generally have that issue, and especially here in California, we don't end up with any issues like that for the most part. I'm gonna check my drive shaft, make sure everything's secure, make sure I don't have any serious play in these U-joints. Don't notice any of that. I'm following the rest of the exhaust, making sure I don't have any leaks, rust holes, anything like that. Everything seems to be in place. No leaks, everything looks good. So I'm now looking at the front of the drive shaft. It has U-joints just like the rear of it does. I'm gonna stick my hand up there, probably off camera, just to get a feel for them. They generally don't have issues, and especially at this mileage. So I'm gonna move on to the other side. I'm now looking at the back of the transmission. I'm checking for any leaks. I'm not seeing any at the rear of it. While I'm here, I'm checking for the catalytic converter, making sure we're still intact. We've got oxygen sensors. I wanna make sure all the wiring's intact, not chewed on or anything or torn. As it's under the vehicle, it's very possible that could happen. We have a transmission mount here on this generation, and a lot of the Subaru automatics, they are known to tear. So I'll stick a pry bar up there, I'll wiggle it, and you can clearly see separation if there's an issue between the rubber and the metal. Moving towards the center of the transmission, we've got the pan down here. This looks like it's been somewhat recently resealed, and I don't see any active leaking, which is a good sign. I look along the side of the transmission. I don't see any other leaks on this side. I'll check this side really quickly. I don't see anything. Moving to the front differential, which, like I mentioned, is a part of the transmission. I don't see any leaks. Everything looks intact. Both front axles, here, and then the same on this side, look brand new, which is a good sign. And they also look like they use factory Subaru axles, which is very good. A lot of the aftermarket axles are known to fail and can leave you stranded. Now, I have a plate right here. This kind of just protects the steering rack, and I see a little bit of oil on it. And so I'm gonna look at the steering rack. I don't see anything coming from these soft hoses or metal lines. So I'm gonna suspect it's not power steering fluid and instead engine oil coming from somewhere. When we get up to the engine, we'll look for the rest of that. Checking the rest of the exhaust, making sure these oxygen sensors are in good shape. This one's good. Come to this one. This one's good. Wires all look fine, not torn, not ripped. Looks good to me. Now we're up to the engine, and I'm gonna check for leaks on it. We have a valve cover. On Subarus, you have two. You have a left and a right. This would be the left one. I'm seeing a little bit of seepage coming from it. And then I can also see on the ignition coil up here, if you can see that. Looks like it's leaking. So that can be from a spark plug tube seal or just dripping down from the top of the valve cover. I'm gonna check along the front of it. These front timing covers are notorious for leaking. And so far I'm not seeing anything. When I come to this side, although I have a leak coming from this valve cover or inner timing cover, can't really tell right now. So we would recommend we clean off the oil, put some dye in it, run the engine some more, and that can kind of verify where this leak is coming from. Coming back here, yeah, same thing. Looks like valve cover leak. And then on the oil filter, looks like we have a little bit of oil. That can be coming down from that valve cover leak, or it can be coming from this oil cooler, or the oil filter itself can be leaking. Now that we're under the radiator, I'm gonna check, make sure we don't have any leaks here. The automatic transmission lines run to the radiator, and that is how the transmission is cooled. I'm checking that. That looks fine. That looks fine. I don't see any cracks, or they're not brittle either. This is the front lower radiator hose. It is pretty new. I don't see any leaks at all. And now move to the wheels on the front. I'm now gonna check for play, which Subarus can have wheel bearing issues. So I'm gonna check by putting my hands at 6 and 12 and just rocking it like that. I'm gonna do that to all the wheels, make sure that the wheel bearings are all in pretty good shape. Most of the time you'll complain of a hum or a clunk or anything like that if you have a pretty bad wheel bearing. I'll also do this with my hands at 3 and 9. I can tell me if we have any bushing or tie rod concerns. I'll do that on both front wheels. And then coming back under, we're just gonna do a quick visual inspection on our sway bar links. These ones generally don't have issues. Sway bar all the way across, all the bushings are good. And then we have the front lower control arm. We have ball joints, those boots aren't torn. I felt no play when I moved the wheel. This front bushing looks in good shape. If this one tears, you'll definitely feel it while driving. It'll feel like a shimmy over like 40 miles an hour. And then lastly, we have a bushing on the rear, and Subaru decided to fill these with fluid, and they are very prone to leak. That being said, we should be wrapping up our inspection underneath. I'm just gonna go around, confirm all the tread depth of the tires, make sure they're all good, and then we will move forward. So what we do here is when a car comes in for a pre-purchase inspection, we hook up our software, which is a Subaru specific software that allows us to communicate with all of the modules that these cars are equipped with. Usually it takes a little while for the whole scan to go through, so I do it at the very beginning. And when I'm done with the inspection, lower the car down, that's when I come over here and look at the computer. Up here, we've gone through, we've done the full scan. On these older cars, there's not that many modules, so you don't usually get that much information. But on this one specifically, we have 0 issues with the engine control system, so no check engine lights or anything like that. The transmission control is totally good, no codes. And then lastly, the brake control system, no faults with that. On more modern Subarus, this thing will be generally full, and you'll have communication with all of the modules, and you'll get at least a couple error codes. One of the most important parts of a vehicle inspection that we like to do, especially coming into the warmer months in summer, is test the air conditioning. So how I do it, take my thermometer, I go over to the vents of the car, I just find a vent, put my thermometer in there, just reads like that, fire the car up, and let it cool down. Make sure the air conditioning's on full blast. And we'll let that run for about 20 seconds and we'll watch the thermometer. You can already see thermometer's going down. Today right now is about 70 degrees outside, not too warm. We're already seeing the thermometer is already getting below 50 degrees. So this air conditioning system is working great. I'm also listening to the AC compressor, which is up front. This guy right here, we're making sure that it's cycling correctly, meaning it's not always spinning. If it's always spinning, that can mean that the pressures are low and the system is not able to build adequate pressure. The AC compressor should turn on and off regularly. And right now we're seeing that. We're also checking the cooling fans on the front, making sure those are turning. You can definitely hear them and feel the air blowing. So if I had a concern with the air conditioning not working, I'd hook up our AC machine and we would recover the refrigerant if there was any. That would tell us if the AC is not working because of a low refrigerant issue, which could be from the refrigerant leak, or if we have a deeper issue we need to dig into. Other than that, this system's working great. The air's very cold, so this thing passes very well. Now that we've completed our inspection on this Subaru, we will come over here and take a look at our inspection that we've generated. Each customer is emailed a copy of this or texted, and it's got a pretty thorough breakdown of what repairs are needed and how immediate they are. After viewing this, the customer can decide if this car is the right fit for them, or if they do like the car, if they'd like us or anybody else to do the repairs. Regardless, they'll have a pretty thorough workup of what is needed on this car and how immediate it should be taken care of. As you can see from this inspection, it's pretty important you get a pre-purchase inspection done and not a post-purchase inspection. It's always nice to know what you're getting into as opposed to buying somebody else's problem. As of now, April 2025, here at FW Motors, we charge $175 to do an inspection of any kind regarding that. If that's out of your budget, I hope we've at least given you some tools and at least key things to look for when looking at a Subaru. Most Subarus will have virtually the same thing you're looking at, not much changes. So if you're in the Rocklin or Roseville area, please feel free to give us a call at 916-778-8844, or you can visit us at fwmotors.com for any time you need a service or inspection done on your Subaru. We hope to see you soon.